Alright, this is a video. We're going to show you how to adjust the shims in the spool if you have a problem with the line lay being up, too far towards the top or too far towards the bottom of the spool. And here's kind of how that looks. On the left side you'll have top coning. With that you'll need to add washers or add shims to raise the spool to get it to level out. And on the right side you have bottom coning, which you'll remove the shims to get the spool to drop and the line to move further upwards and be even. So we'll show you how to get in the spool and get that done. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to take the preset knob off. It's got the little lock screw in the center. This is for SR12s through SR50s. So you're going to remove the preset first, so that way you can get the spool off the reel. Just lift forward. Sometimes they're a little tough. You just kind of shake it, kind of twist them, shake them a little bit, and they'll come off the reel. You can set the body aside. You'll just work on the spool. And we're going to take the top cover off the spool first. Sometimes you can just palm those and get them off by hand. Sometimes they're a little tight, and you want to use something like a rubber glove, something where you can get some friction on there, and that'll help you to remove it. So again, just palm the spool and it'll come off, and we'll just unscrew from the top of the spool. And removing this is also handy if the clicker spring breaks. If you need to get in there to change drag washers, spool bearings, that all makes it a lot easier process. And the next step we're going to do is we're going to remove the bottom cover. We're using a flat blade screwdriver. You just get in on the inside edge there and kind of move it around, just pry up easily, and then it'll pop. It's got an O-ring on the outside that's kind of holding it in. That'll get you the bottom of the spool, and then on the top side of the spool you're going to remove the two small Phillips head screwdrivers. So you'll need a screwdriver for that as well. Maybe like a 0 or a 00 screwdriver. Phillips will work. You remove those two screws. Those prevent the nut from coming all the way off if you were to turn your preset too far. So now we're going to remove the nut. Again, this is all stuff that you would also be doing for changing drag washers, spool bearings, servicing the spool thoroughly. It's all part of that process. So you take all the bevel washers off the top and then push the drag shaft through the bottom. And you'll get see the inside of the drag washer bearing, and then we have the drag plate. And then underneath the drag plate are those shims that you're going to be working with. Again, either adding or removing shims to get the desired result based on that diagram. So obviously you can try, depending on how bad your line lay is, you can pull one shim off, put it all back together, try it again, or you can just take them both off from the beginning. Again, depending on how bad the coning is. So once you do that, add or remove the shims, you just reverse the process and put everything back together. There's 3 of these bevel washers here. The first one goes concave side down. Next one is concave side up. And the last one is concave side down. put the little set screws back in. And put your cover back on. Same way, you can palm it either with the glove or without. You just want to make sure it's good and tight on there. And then finally, you put your bottom cover back on. See how it goes in kind of the rubber gasket side down. And you want to push that in and kind of go around in circles to make sure it's even, you know, all the way down, but also even. That way you don't get any rubbing as it reaches the bottom stroke of the spool. And you're good, and then you can put the spool back on the reel and replace your preset. Make sure that center lock nut is good and tight. And then the last thing we're going to look at, kind of a final check for line lay, is making sure that the bail arm is able to move all the way forward in its position, because that's going to affect the line lay as well. So if you push it back and forward and give it a little push with your thumb like that, you know, just make sure it's not sticking. That should have freedom of movement from full open bail to full closed bail. So just kind of put it in the closed position, give it a little push, make sure it's able to do that, and that'll ensure that you're also getting proper line lay. And that's it. That's for adjusting the line lay on an SR spool, 12s through 50s.